Well, welcome to another episode of We Don't Color on the Dog. We got with us Escambia County Sheriff Chip Simmons. Hi, Chip.
Hey, Rick, how are you?
I am doing well. Last week, we had an appellate court declare unconstitutional Florida's open carry law. What I'd like to talk about, Chip, is people need to understand open carry doesn't mean you get to carry a gun wherever you want to carry a gun. Talk a little bit about there are other laws that do have some precedent here.
Yeah, so the First District Court, as you mentioned, they struck down the open carry prohibition. So now we do not have a law that says you can't carry openly. So you can carry carry a firearm realistically. Now, what that does not mean is you can carry it anywhere, like you just mentioned. There is still a concealed carry statute that remains in effect. The DCA opinion did not affect the concealed carry. And within the concealed carry, it had 15 locations that you cannot carry a firearm. And those locations, based upon what we got information from our legal counsel, by statewide legal counsel, and also from the Attorney General's office, is you still can't open carry a firearm into a police station, a high patrol station, already through a detention facility. Obviously, you can't carry into a jail. You can't carry into a courthouse. You cannot carry into a polling place while they're conducting the election type polling functions. You can't carry in a meeting of a governing body. So you can't go down to the Board of County Commissioner meeting and go inside when the commission's meeting when you're open carrying a firearm, or concealed carry for these matters as well. A school, you can't do it in a school. Any career center, I'm not really sure exactly what the rationale there was, or what the definition of a career center is, but you can't carry in that as well. So these are just some of them. One is you can't carry where a firearm is prohibited by federal law. So there's some places that you can't just walk into, and most of these are common sense, as I mentioned: a school, a courthouse, a police station, or an airport. You can't, just as to name four of these things.
Chip, I know your attorneys looked at it. Of course, the Florida Sheriff's Association has. Does that mean that concealed carry permits are no longer needed in the state of Florida?
Well, I think they're needed. You mean permits? You said, or
Yeah, the
did you say that?
permits. Yeah, the permit to concealed carry.
Well, about a year or so ago, the state of Florida went to what was referred to as constitutional carry, which means you can, if you're over 21 and you're not a convicted felon, you can carry a firearm, unless you have a mental deficiency as well. So if you want to have a permit, you can for to be able to purchase a weapon and not have to wait the mandatory waiting period.
Okay.
There's some reciprocity with other states and some of the rules that they have. But do you need one? No, you don't need one. I'll be honest, I don't need one, but I still have one because if I want to buy a firearm, I want to walk out of there with a firearm. And if I'm carrying in our state, I want to be able to show them this is my concealed carry permit here in the state of Florida. Even though I'm a law enforcement officer, I could show them those credentials as well.
So, what are the instructions that y'all have given deputies?
Well, and initially we were having our discussions, and we talked about when this new policy becomes effective, because there is a period of time whenever a court makes a ruling that they allow a few days for appeal. In this situation, it was pretty clear to us that Governor DeSantis was not going to appeal it. The Attorney General had no intention of appealing it. So I immediately told our deputies to not enforce that statute, to act as if that statute never existed, basically. Now, I'll be honest, we don't make very many cases. I don't know that we have any active cases. The case that was from this district wasn't our case. It was a Pensacola Police Department case. But what it means for us is that an individual in a public place and public property, with the exceptions we mentioned earlier, can carry an open firearm, and it's that simple.
And I think that's the other point I wanted to make too, that private, on private property, you're not, that's the property owner has that decision, right? About when
Yeah,
to
so
open.
that's important. It doesn't mean that it's a universal right. What it means is that on public property you can, but it doesn't mean that you have the right to go on someone's property. You can't go to Rick Allison's house and with open carry if you don't
Or
want
my
me to.
office.
Yeah, I can, yeah, you can say get out of here, and they would have to leave
Right, right.
and return without the weapon, conceivably. The same thing happens for businesses. If you own a store, whether it's a large chain store or a small chain, you can determine if you want to allow someone to come into your store in an open carry fashion. But think about this: Alabama is an open carry state, so they've got WalMarts and they have large retail stores over there that have already been through this. Now, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm assuming they're going to put a sign up there if they'd rather you not enter their store and again, in an open carry fashion. So there's going to be some things that we're going to have to deal with. And sometimes it may take some getting used to this open carry state. But think about this. We were talking earlier, we're one of only 5 states, I believe, 5 or 6 states that do not allow some form of open carry. So we're not the first state to do it. It's just become, accepted that you can't open carry in the state of Florida. Now that's changed. So obviously you can now open carry, but remember, you can't just go anywhere. So if you're going to go to a store, you need to know if that store is going to let you, carry openly, or you're going to just take the gun off and leave it in your car or wherever, or leave it at home, whichever one you would choose to do. So, you do have some options. You can choose to carry, and obviously you can carry in your car anyway, but you can carry open if you're going to go to a public park. You can do that sort of thing. Maybe even on the beach. You can, but you cannot do it at courthouses and those other areas. I would like to. What we're telling people is to be very aware of your surroundings. We tell you to be aware of your surroundings before this statute was overturned, but now you're going to have a weapon on you. So be aware of someone that might try to sneak up behind you, try to take the weapon. Be aware that if for some reason you have the weapon, someone might try to not even sneak up, but just try to overpower you and take that weapon from you, because that's in many cases a valuable piece of equipment. And I want people to be aware that you no longer have the element of surprise. If you're carrying a weapon on your hip, everyone can see it. So if they intend to do you harm, they're gonna take that into consideration. Now, again, you can say that people are less likely to rob me if I've got a gun on my hip. They're less likely to think that they can steal or do something physically harm me if I have a weapon on my hip. But all these things need to be taken into consideration. But the bottom line is the state of Florida, not just the First District Court of Appeals area, but also the entire state of Florida in public property. We are now an open carry state. It's that simple.
Well, and I guess the only other thing to keep in mind, there's still restrictions against brandish, just waving a weapon around in public, or walking down with it's got to be. You can't just wave a gun around. It's got to be handled.
Absolutely. Even if you're tempted to do something, but you can't just do that. Brandishing is still a crime, still a misdemeanor. But if you point a weapon at somebody in a threatening manner, it can be aggravated assault. So it could be a felony, and I think you need to be very, very aware of that. Obviously, we don't want people to drink in excess or to do drugs or something whenever they're open carrying. Either there's some common sense measures that I believe that everyone can agree is probably a good thing to avoid weapons mixed with alcohol, weapons mixed with drugs, or any other type of a situation that you might get heated as an argument. So again, we're an open carry state. We're going to learn to adapt to that. I don't know that I would say it's a bad thing. It's the law. It's the way that the courts have ruled. It's based upon constitutional interpretation, and I'm sworn to uphold the Constitution. So we're going to move forward with it, and we just want to again let people know that these are your rules. These are the places that you can carry. These are the places you cannot carry if they don't want you to. And again, please be aware of your surroundings, and don't wear a gun if you're not familiar with that gun. Don't use a holster you're not familiar with. We don't need guns dropping and flopping on the ground and falling down steps. We don't need any of that. But to take that responsibility to heart and do what you need to do in a common sense nature.
Great. Well, Chip, thank you so much. I think this is valuable for people. I think we're going to have the need for more gun instruction, probably, particularly with the responsibilities. But there are plenty. I know y'all have offered things over the years. There are plenty of opportunities for people to get the kind of education they need in handling guns.
Absolutely. We want people to protect themselves. We just want them to be able to protect themselves from themselves as well.
All right, great. Thanks, Chip.
You bet.